Hey everybody, welcome back to Hester's Happenings. Sorry we haven't gotten a video uploaded in a while, been kind of busy. Um, just wanted to share with everybody the next step in our little cabin off-grid water supply. Very few of you actually, have seen my ram pump videos, and I still have a few tweaks to do. I still have issues with flooding in the creek and needing to tie everything down and get it where when it does flood, it doesn't just wash my stuff away and I have to go back and spend an hour or two trying to fix everything back up. So, next step is water containment. So I looked online, saw a few videos about rain barrels, using stuff like that. And so I took those ideas, kind of made them my own. Get my glass of wine out of the way here. You see a few parts sitting up here. My lawnmower in the background. I need to use it actually. So what I did is I purchased 4 55-gallon plastic barrels from a supplier here in Greensboro, North Carolina, and got a good deal on them. This is kind of mocked up in my yard at home right now that we are not at the cabin. I have a manifold system that I will probably end up putting shutoff valves and tee-offs in between each barrel just so I can disconnect them and service them, clean them out, anything like that. Nothing is glued at the moment. It's just a kind of a test to just to make sure everything functions the way I want it. My plan right here is I'm going to cut a hole out. This is just a 4-inch knockout plug. I'm going to put here because the plan right now is at the cabin we're going to just use this water for flushing the commode, probably taking a shower, eventually wash dishes with, stuff like that. Nothing crazy. My wife and I and my family, we've camped a lot, so we pretty much have the whole dealing without water issue taken care of. But it's nice to have running water, especially for toilets and a shower when we are at the cabin. Right here I have a setup ready for I'm going to incorporate my ram pump, which I'm probably going to take. This was just a shark bite T connection. Probably mount it once I get it up there, mount it somewhere here along this area for my ram pump to actually fill the barrels, just somewhere it can hold it steady and all. But what I have here, this metal piece was actually off a crate that we have from where I work. And if I move this out of the way, because I want to be able to filter the rainwater. This is, we'll have the gutter downspout and all that, fun stuff you can look up online. This was just basically almost like a peekaboo type window. It had a little flip valve, a little flip window right here. You could look into it. So I took it out. It already had a screen in it, but it wasn't attached. So I just, really caked on the silicone, as you can tell. And just to seal it up and to give it a little extra filtration, I have one of the reusable air filters in my HVAC. Any HVAC guys, please don't bash me, because I've heard 5,000 different stories about it. But I just took the leftover material once I cut it down. It's got the plastic front and back, and then just a filter foam in it. Now, I'm really big into saltwater aquariums. I have one inside my house. I'd be glad to show it to anyone who would like to see it. It's not a huge tank. It's only 55 gallons, but I enjoy it. But anyway, so I took the leftover parts. I just cut a section. I still have some left, and I cut some of the grading material that comes with that reusable, multi-size filter you can buy at Home Depot, Lowe's, and just kind of cut it down big enough where I could put one in and hold it, just so if the wind blows, and this is, yep, it does that. Oh, pardon me. So if the wind does blow and this is dry, it doesn't just completely blow it out. There we go. And my plan is, once I get it up to the cabin, the end of the gutter will just sit right here. This foam filter will help filter out a lot of the debris and stuff like that. This is not for drinking water. Please don't beat me up about it. This is just for basic, a shower every now and then, and flushing the commode that's there. It's nothing fancy. But so I got that. I've got an overflow. This is actually just a 1.25 inch. I'm hoping it's big enough. I've seen different opinions on it about what size. If it's not big enough, I can go bigger. That's the great thing about it. So I've got that. It's a slip filter, so what I was planning on do is probably come, once I get it set up, maybe mount it here, put a pipe down and run it out and let it go down the bank and run back towards the creek, so we're not really wasting water. It'll still do what it needs to do, and I'll just sandwich these together, because really there's no pressure in these tanks. So I don't, once I get that together, I'm not planning on gluing it or anything like that. So what I did, like I said, 4 of the 55-gallon food grade totes. I took these. You have to have an air relief valve in each one of them. I'm not going to show you the first one because I drilled the hole too big. But I just took it, and I had a bunch of tees left over, and I had some window screen mesh, and I took that and just wrapped it around it. Just cut a short piece of 3/4 inch PVC. I have a Christmas tree bit that I drilled out. I believe that's about 1 inch, not quite, and it's just enough where that will fit in there, and it's not loose. Now let me show you what I did with the first. See, I got it a little too loose, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. Once it's there, it's not going to move. It's just to let the air out of the barrels, because if you don't, none of the water will be able to flow from the intake, because these will all be airlocked if you don't drill a hole and let the air out of these barrels. Because I was really concerned about drilling holes in them, having them right side up, and having to drill a hole and either use a bulkhead or a Uniseal. I see people use them all the time, and I just like to use them upside down. The bung holes in the bottom, one is a coarse thread, one is a fine thread. It's very easy to see. I'm sorry I don't have a under the bottom or picture to show you, but actually one of the bung holes is threaded for a 3/4 inch regular PVC whatever type thread. And so what I did, like I said, none of this is glued, but they're all slip fit and threaded, and it just threads up in the bung hole, and you wrap it about 7 or 8 times with some good Teflon tape. And so far, even without this being glued, I have a very, very tiny leak, and that's in one of the joints right up there. And so that's very, very promising. If it ends up where I have to either silicone or maybe just glue one of the fittings into the bung holes, that's not a big issue. My biggest issue was making sure that I had something that wouldn't leak, because we're not there all the time. It's every once a month, or just a vacation getaway from town, get up in the middle of nowhere and enjoy yourself. So yes, so that was my biggest issue, was just making sure it didn't leak, and all, because it here lately it seems like we get rain in North Carolina, especially in the mountains, every so often. So as long as I have you know, it's 55, it's 110, it's 220 gallons of water. That'll last me and my family for what little bit we use a long time. So I built these. I have a cutoff valve here. I know a lot of different ones have a lot of, you know, different elaborate systems and all, and that's fine and all, but this is just kind of basic, just to get us by. Cutoff valve, a Orbit, and you can see what that is, 3/4 inch MHT, which is basically a garden hose thread, and it's a slip fit, and I'll end up gluing it on when I get there and get it all, everything set up. And I just hooked the garden hose that I have. It comes around, and I know this is an old Sterilite container, but it's one I had. This is not the battery I'm going to use. This is strictly for testing purposes here at the house. And just have a flow jet. It's one I picked up off of Facebook Marketplace. Lady was selling it. It's a 12 volt DC pump. Something I needed because I have the solar power that will charge the battery that I'm gonna put in here, and I'm gonna build a stand and everything, and I'll put a video once I get that done of how, you know, how all that's gonna go. I have a solar charger controller. I've got to hook switches up so this can basically turn on and off and all that good stuff, but that comes later. I just drilled 2 holes. This hole right here will be where my wires come in and out of for the solar panel that I have to charge the battery, and the other 2 are basically for the hose to come out. And then it's basically just a garden hose that I have connected there at the cabin to the main water supply. So that's about it right now. This was I put it together this afternoon when I got home from work because I wanted to test it. I wanted to make sure everything was going to look right, what I wanted it to, and it works. So I mean, it's pretty basic. Once you, like I said, a lot of this stuff I don't want to get, you know, to where you have to have engineering schematics to be able to do something like this. And the average hobbyist and stuff that wants to do it, it's pretty simple. PVC is right now is still fairly cheap, and so yeah, that's it. The cinder blocks I had here, I'll end up taking those to the cabin, just enough to stand it off the ground. I may end up buying more to get it up higher, but I don't really need the height for the pressure out of the tanks. I just need it up to clear the manifold system. So 1 cinder block is actually plenty. So I know a lot of guys put them up on stands and everything so they can get the water pressure out of them, but I don't need it. I just need the flow, because my pump will actually pull the water out of the tanks, and so that's where I get my pressure out of my pump. So, but guys, if you like it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. You know, it's something I thought about, you know, making a channel for us when we do go to the cabin, or we do, you know, just little stuff around the house to maybe help somebody out. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it.